There's something inside of you that was placed there before you were even born. A voice, a fire, a pull towards something greater. That's not random. That's not coincidence. That's calling. And a calling is not just a job. It's not just a title. It's not just a task. A calling is something you are made for, wired for, designed by destiny to fulfill. It's the reason you're still here, the reason you've survived every trial, the reason you can't shake the vision no matter how far you run. You don't choose a calling, it chooses you. It's in your bones, it lives in your spirit, and even when you try to ignore it, it won't go away. That's why you feel restless when you settle. That's why you feel empty doing what everybody else said was right. That's why something inside you keeps whispering, there's more. Because there is more. And the truth is, you will never be fully at peace until you answer that call. Now, answering it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. In fact, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, because a calling will stretch you. It will confront your fears. It will demand your growth. It will separate you from the crowd and send you down a road not everyone understands. But that's the price of purpose. You've got to be willing to leave average behind. You've got to be bold enough to stand alone sometimes. You've got to believe in your assignment more than you believe in your excuses. You were not created to blend in. You were not born to fit the mold. You were made to break it, made to build, made to lift, made to inspire, made to lead. And you don't need anyone's permission to start. You don't need the whole plan laid out. You just need a decision that says, I will no longer ignore what I was born to do. See, a calling is sacred. A calling is not chosen. It chooses you and lives within you. You don't wake up one day and decide, I'm going to have a calling. That's not how it works. A calling is not a career plan. It's not a trendy goal. And it's not something you copy from somebody else. A calling is embedded in your DNA. It's a whisper from deep within that keeps tugging on your soul no matter how many times you try to silence it. It is not something you find, it's something you recognize. You were born with it. Even when you didn't know what to name it, it was there. That thing that made you feel different, that fire you felt when you saw someone doing what you knew deep down you were meant to do. That ache you feel when you're not doing what you love. That's your calling. And it's not going anywhere until you listen to it. You can run from it, you can bury it in excuses, you can try to drown it in distractions, but it will wait. It will wait through the years you waste trying to be who the world told you to be. It will wait through the jobs that leave you empty and the choices that leave you numb, because your calling is patient, but it's also persistent. It doesn't die because you ignored it. It waits because it knows you were made for it. Some people confuse a calling with a talent, but a calling isn't always about what you're good at right now. It's about what you were built to be great at once you surrender to the process. It's about growth. It's about purpose. And it's about service. Your calling isn't just for you. It's for the lives you'll impact once you walk in it. Someone out there is waiting for you to stop doubting and start showing up. You don't have to have a spotlight to have a calling. Some people change the world from a stage. Others change it in classrooms, kitchens, conversations, or quiet acts of courage. It's not about the size of the platform. It's about the strength of the purpose behind what you do. Your calling is wherever your passion meets your responsibility. It's where your heart breaks and your gifts rise up to heal what's broken. And when you begin to honor that inner pull, your life begins to make sense. Things start to align. Opportunities find you. Energy returns. You stop chasing validation and start walking in vision. That's what happens when you recognize that your calling isn't something outside of you. It's been inside you all along, waiting on your permission to live. So stop asking, do I have a calling? And start asking, am I willing to answer it? Because once you do, you'll realize it wasn't you that chose the calling. It was the calling that chose you. You'll never find true peace until you answer your calling. There is a kind of restlessness that doesn't come from being busy or tired. It comes from being misaligned. You can have the money, the house, the degree, the applause, and still feel a silent emptiness inside. That's the ache of an unanswered calling. It's the quiet knowing that you're not where you're supposed to be, that you're not doing what you are created to do. And until you answer that call, you will never feel truly at peace. See, peace isn't found in comfort. Peace isn't found in predictability. Peace is found in purpose. It's when your spirit and your steps are in sync. It's when your actions match your assignment. And the reason so many people feel unsettled, even when life looks good on the outside, is because deep down, they know they're not walking in their truth. You can't fake alignment. You can't distract your way out of a calling. You can keep yourself busy, yes. You can convince yourself you being responsible, even successful. But when you lay your head down at night, when you sit in silence, that little voice still whispers, there's more, because there is. And that whisper doesn't go away until you respond. Not with excuses, not with fear, but with obedience, with surrender. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know every step, but you do have to be willing to say, I'm not gonna ignore this anymore. I'm not gonna shrink back. I may not feel ready, but I'm going anyway. The moment you move in the direction of your calling, something shifts inside of you. The restlessness starts to fade. The anxiety begins to lift because your soul finally recognizes this is it. This is the path. This is what I was made for. And listen, it doesn't mean the path will be easy. It won't be. In fact, it may stretch you more than anything you've ever done, but it will also fulfill you in ways nothing else ever has. Because nothing compares to waking up with clarity, knowing you're in the right place, doing the right thing for the right reason. That's where peace lives. Peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of purpose. It's knowing that your life is being used for something bigger than you. It's knowing that you're no longer running from yourself, that you've stopped settling, that you finally stepped into the life that's been waiting on you all along. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're exhausted from carrying the weight of what you're not doing, then it's time. Time to stop avoiding the call. Time to stop numbing the voice, because your peace won't come from staying safe. It will come from saying yes to what your soul already knows. You will never feel whole living half of your truth. Peace begins when purpose takes its rightful place. Answer your calling and give yourself permission to breathe again. Pursuing your calling will challenge and stretch you beyond comfort. Walking in your calling isn't for the faint of heart. It's not a journey paved with ease and instant applause. No, when you truly commit to answering your calling, you're signing up for a life of growth, of grit, and of radical responsibility. Because a calling will stretch you. It will break you out of the neat little box of comfort you've built around your life and send you into territory where faith is your only map. The reason many people avoid their calling is not because they don't know what it is. It's because they're afraid of who they'll have to become to fulfill it. See, your calling doesn't just ask for your talent. It demands your transformation. It asks for your character, your courage, your consistency. It will make you face everything in yourself that you've spent years avoiding. Your insecurities, your doubts, your fears of being seen, of being judged, of failing. But here's the thing, your calling isn't here to expose you, it's here to evolve you. You can't fulfill a big calling with a small mindset. The person you are today may not be ready for what your destiny holds, but the journey will shape you into the person who is. Every challenge, every delay, every door that closes, every fear that rises is all part of your preparation. You won't get there without being stretched. And let me be real with you, it won't feel good. Growth rarely does. You'll want to give up. You'll question yourself. You'll look around and wonder why it's taking so long. But don't confuse discomfort with failure. That pressure you feel, that's life molding you, sharpening you, aligning you with your deeper power. That's your spirit being upgraded to match your assignment. Because a calling doesn't come with step-by-step instructions. It doesn't show up with a comfort guarantee. It comes with whispers, with nudges, with moments that don't make sense until you look back and realize every hard thing was building your capacity. That rejection, that delay, that disappointment, it wasn't the end, it was the lesson. The stretching isn't punishment, it's preparation. You will be challenged to speak when you're scared, to stand when you feel shaky, to believe when nothing around you is confirming it. That's what makes it a calling and not just a job. It's not about comfort, it's about conviction. You keep going, not because it's easy, but because you know you were born for it. Something in your soul refuses to settle. So embrace the stretch, trust the tension, show up when you'd rather shrink. Because the stretch is not there to break you, it's there to build you. And once you survive that stretch, once you walk through the fire and find your voice on the other side, you'll realize that every ounce of discomfort was worth it. Because when you walk in your calling, stretched and strengthened, you don't just inspire others, you ignite a movement. Your calling requires boldness, sacrifice, and separation from the crowd. Answering your calling means walking a path that not everyone will understand. And that's the part they don't always tell you. It's not just about discovering what you were born to do. It's about being bold enough to pursue it even when it gets lonely, even when it gets costly, even when the crowd you used to run with doesn't recognize you anymore. Because when you step into your calling, you step out of the norm. You stop thinking like everyone else. You stop moving like everyone else. You stop settling for what's safe and start standing for what's sacred inside of you. That takes boldness, that takes courage, that takes the kind of faith that walks into a room full of doubt and says, I still believe. The truth is, your calling will cost you something. It might cost you your comfort. It might cost you certain relationships. It might cost you approval from people who once clapped for you. But you've got to be willing to pay that price, because the calling on your life is greater than the comfort you're leaving behind. And the version of you that fulfills that calling, that version doesn't fit in, that version stands out. You'll have to make decisions that others won't understand. You'll have to say no to good things so you can say yes to greatness. You'll have to stay focused when everyone else is distracted. You'll have to be disciplined when the crowd is comfortable. You'll have to walk away from normal and choose next level. And you won't always get applause for that. But let me tell you something. People may not understand your path, but that doesn't mean it isn't yours. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is keep walking, keep building, Keep believing, even in silence, even in doubt, even when it feels like nothing's happening. Because calling isn't about attention, it's about assignment. And your assignment was tailor-made for you. Boldness doesn't mean you're never afraid. Boldness means you move through the fear. You show up anyway. You speak up anyway. You step out anyway. And every time you do, you grow stronger. Every time you do, your purpose gets clearer. Your light gets brighter. And eventually, the same people who questioned you will start looking to you for direction. So don't water down your calling just to stay comfortable. Don't shrink just to fit someone else's expectations. Don't hold back your truth because you're afraid of being different. Different is divine. Different is necessary. You were not created to follow the crowd. You were created to lead the shift. And that starts with a bold decision to honor your calling, no matter what it costs. The crowd may not go with you, but your destiny will meet you when you get there, and that's worth everything. You don't need permission or perfection to begin, just a decision. Too many people are waiting for the perfect time, waiting until they feel ready, waiting for someone to say, you've got what it takes. But let me tell you something. You don't need anyone to crown you before you start walking like a king or queen. You don't need a round of applause before you take the stage. Your calling doesn't need permission from the outside world. It needs a decision from you. Every great journey begins with a single, bold, messy, uncertain step. It begins with a yes that's louder than your fear, a yes that pushes past your doubts, a yes that drowns out the noise and says, I might not have it all figured out, but I refuse to stay where I am. That decision right there, that's where power lives. That's where momentum begins. You see, we live in a world obsessed with perfection. We think we've got to have the perfect plan, the perfect look, the perfect words, the perfect following before we begin. But that mindset is a trap. Perfection is a lie that keeps your purpose on pause. The truth is, you'll never be ready in the way you think. You become ready in motion. You grow while going. You get better while building. You don't wait to be great. You decide to grow, and greatness meets you on the way. And no, you might not have all the credentials. You might not have the biggest platform. You might not have everyone's approval. But guess what? You've got breath, you've got vision, you've got a reason. And that's more than enough to begin. There are people right now living full lives, fulfilling powerful missions, not because they were the most qualified, but because they started. They made a decision. They silenced the voice that said, who do you think you are? And they answered back, I'm someone who's called. That's who. The difference between people who live out their calling and those who don't isn't talent, it's choice. It's the decision to show up, to try, to fail forward, to keep going when it's awkward, messy, and uncertain. You don't need all the answers. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to decide that where you are is no longer enough. That staying stuck is more painful than stepping out. Because when you decide, the universe responds. Doors open, people appear, ideas flow, energy returns. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with it. That decision sends a message. I'm ready to honor what's been placed inside of me. So stop waiting, stop overthinking, stop asking for signs when the desire in your heart is already the signal. You don't need a green light, you are the light. Flip the switch, make the move, say yes, because when you decide to walk in your calling, life begins to move with you. And that first decision, it's the start of everything.